What's going on, guys? Man, it's great to have football back, isn't it, man? Listen, we had our first game of the season, games that actually matter, man, and this is so important for us, man, right now. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs were just playing the Detroit Lions and took that L, man. Listen, it was just one of those type of games, man. Kansas City has had a nice, long, strong legacy of winning opening games this last 4 or 5 years. And I'm not gonna lie to you, man. The defense for Detroit came to play, man. Not only that, but Kansas City really kind of did themselves in with a couple of late game decisions and some kind of sketchy play that they had going on and didn't get called into the time, crunch time when it mattered the most. But if you got to enjoy this game, man, like I did, I know I didn't have a real rooting interest in this game. Of course, the games don't really matter for out of conference games or non-rivalry games or whatever like that. They don't matter until later in the season. Of course, we're just kicking this thing off. But if you got to enjoy this game the same way I did, man, it was just for the fact of just having something to enjoy, man, being in the atmosphere again. Seeing the gameplay and again things are different when they matter, different from the preseason, of course. And so with this game, man, Travis Kelce was out. He has a hyperextended knee, or what they call it, a bone bruise. So you have your best athlete, who's the best weapon for Patrick Mahomes, and he's not available for today's game. And so that was kind of a big deal when it came down to crunch time. As you saw, Kansas City lost 21-20. I'm sorry, Detroit won. Let me say it that way. Let me say it the right way for Detroit Lions fans. Detroit won 21-20. The defense stood up for Detroit at the end, man. The running game stood up for Detroit at the end. The O-line stood up for Detroit at the end. It was one of those things where early on it looked like it was going to be a fast-paced shootout game. Dan Campbell was taking a couple gambles, took an early gamble in the first part of the game where they had a fake punt, and they were able to convert that to try to get another first down or whatnot and keep the drive alive. Ultimately, it didn't convert into. I don't think that drive converted to points, but it kind of set the tone for what they were going to do. They were going to be aggressive today, and so you saw that throughout the rest of the game as things went on. But what usually tends to happen when you have a game where a coach is so aggressive like that, the other team tries to match their aggressiveness. And so what you saw at the end of the game, Coach Andy Reid decided that they would go for it on fourth down. And so now one of the things that happened was Chris, I'm blanking on the man's name, the announcer, but he kept calling out one of the right tackle for Kansas City. He kept calling him out and saying, man, he's just lined up kind of weird, man. And this is what I mean with the shady play. His helmet basically is supposed to line up with the belt line of the center, and he was kind of staggered back a little further than the rest of the depth of the offensive line. Considering that he was probably in off formation type of situation. Maybe he's not used to playing without my man at tight end. Golly, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right now. He's not in the game, and all of a sudden he's not in my mind, man. But Kelce, thank you. Maybe he's not used to being covered up by Kelce on the end of the line, and Kelce getting him aligned or something. I don't know. But also all night he kept jumping the snap, or he'd be right on top of the snap, and it was just one of those things that if you were watching it from afar, again with no rooting interest. It's just one of those things. It's just like, man, I know if the Texans were playing against this team, I'd be like livid right now. I'd be through the roof because this is just happening every single play almost, unless it was a run play for whatever reason. But his misalignment wasn't a problem until the end of the game when finally they called a penalty on him for. I think he jumped early or something like that, but he stood out so much because he was so much further back. Again, that creates a disadvantage for the DN when he's trying to attack because he can't get a good angle because the guy's already in the backfield, man. He's already back there with Mahomes protecting him. So this is one of those things that got exposed late in the game when it mattered the most. And so the penalty that they took was on a fourth down. It created a 4th and 25 from a 4th and 20. And oddly enough, man, when they had plenty enough time in the game, they had a full complement of timeouts. Andy Reid decided to take the chance and go for it, man, and that just didn't make sense to me. So the reason why that didn't make sense to me was this: Kansas City has like 175, 175 wide receivers. All but like Justin Ross are cut from the same mold. These guys are, roughly 6 foot tall, little scat back type dudes, man, and just, water bugs and, cutting in and out of breaks and all across the field, which is great. But late in the game in crunch time, man, these guys did not show up, man. They couldn't catch a cold. They couldn't catch the flu. It's just one of those weird situations where multiple times Mahomes was hitting these guys in the hands and, just maybe just out of reach just a little bit or whatever. But it was something that they should have been able to complete the catches. And this is what they get paid to do, man. But even in the 4th and 25, Mahomes was like almost right on target with the guy who's out there to receive. So it's crazy to me, man. Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Rashid Rice had a pretty good game. But a lot of these guys that were supposed to stand up and fill in the gap for other talent that has already been gone, Juju Smith-Schuster amongst them, they were supposed to fill in that gap and complete these plays in the times when it mattered the most, and they just did not show up, man. So it was a little interesting to see that happen in crunch time, and so Kansas City took the L because of that, pretty much. Defense is definitely missing the strength of having Chris Jones sitting out. So this game actually played in his favor as far as leverage is concerned. But quite honestly, between Chris Jones being out and Travis Kelce being out, man, it didn't set up well for Kansas City, even though they were playing at home. But they still had a chance, man. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, you have him on the field, you always got a chance, and he kept putting him in position to try to make plays, but guys on the other end just didn't make it happen for him, man. So, this set up for a really good matchup, man. I was kind of surprised. I thought that it would be a landslide victory by Kansas City, but hey, we had our little first upset of the week. And so, I'm looking forward, man. I don't want to see the Texans go through the same struggle. I'm hoping this offense is definitely going to be. I'm hoping the Texans' offense is definitely going to be something to watch. But I hope that they can, put something together that, looks better than what we see on paper. I know a lot of us fans are speculating on what's going to happen between, all of the injuries with the O-line. The running game looks like they're competent, but we don't know. And then the wide receiver charades, we know we got a good solid 2 or 3 or 4, but we really want to see what's going to happen with Tank Dell. Is he going to be healthy? We really want to see what's going to happen with the rookie Hutchinson. We really want to see what's going to be the makeup of Noah Brown and is Nico Collins and everything that we saw in the preseason with his connection with C.J. Stroud, is that going to be solid moving forward? So I hate to touch on a little bit of Texans play when it comes to the Kansas City game, but hey, that's what I'm here for, man. Texans fan in rehab, of course. And so, I just want to see that, when Sunday comes around, I don't have a super high expectation for what's going to happen. Of course, we're playing in Baltimore. Of course, we're playing against, former league MVP, Lamar Jackson. So the caliber of play that we're going to have to get to stand a fair chance against those guys, it's going to have to be something. Like, they're going to have to be on the P's and Q's. I did hear some news that Odell Beckham is dealing with a little bit of injury, maybe with an ankle. So he may be at risk of not playing or questionable or whatever the health designation might be. But I don't take any of these guys for granted. We know that we're going to face Zay Flowers, another one of those, Tank Dell types. So, what do we expect, basically? And so my hope is that the Texans will actually put a competent game plan together. They'll put good, solid play on the field, man, and, give us something that we can look forward to in week 2 and report back to you guys and be like, hey, now I got something that I can latch on to, man. So, preseason didn't give us much exposure to C.J. Stroud. It gave us a limited amount to talk about. But we're, being positive that this, early on in the season, being positive about the way things look. Hey, man, this is where we are in the season. This is where we are in the process, man. So glean what you will from that, man. I know I didn't get too deep in the breakdown of everything. I just wanted to kind of cover a couple of general bases about the game that I saw today, the hope and expectation of what we're gonna see on Sunday. And hey, man, I look forward to tapping in with you guys. I'm definitely gonna be out drinking on Sunday at a bar, checking out the first half of the game at the very least. And so hopefully I'll run into some of you guys, man. We can chop it up, man. But until next time, man, Texans fan in rehab. I'm out.